Hello. Did you know the American Quilter Society now has their own exclusive line of quilt fabric? Well, we do. You'll remember we had the dogwood collection, and now we have the feather and song collection. It has beautiful birds on it and a lot of companion pieces that blend beautifully with the bird fabric. So today we're going to make a simple pillow to show you how to make a pillow that adds a decorative touch, and it has no hand sewing and no zippers. And so you can see I've used one of the printed pieces in this collection, and on the back I used a companion, and then we just have an overlap so that there are no zippers. You can change these pillow tops as often as you wish. So let's get started. We'll make our pillow top. First of all, you need to know what size your form is going to be. Now this is a purchased form, but you could make your own form and stuff it with leftover batting if you wanted to. When you make your pillow, you want your cover to be slightly smaller. I always make it so that when I make my pillow top is exactly the same size as the form. So this is an 18-inch form. I made my pillow top 18 inches. Now I'm going to take a 1/2 inch seam allowance when I sew this together, and so my pillow top itself is going to be 17 inches finished. And what that'll do is it will make it so your pillow will stay nice and firm and stuffed, and you won't have those I call them the baggy covers when they're a little bit too big. So you can make them fit perfectly. Okay, so now you know, make your top the same size as your form. Okay, the next thing, I'm going to share with you just a little trick that we use when we get ready to sew this together. You can see here that I laid a piece of batting, and I like to put a piece of batting underneath the top. The top itself, I just think it makes the whole top smoother if you have a batting underneath it. And then, if you want to quilt your pillow top, now is the time to do that before you go any further. So we would quilt it now. I have not quilted this one, but you certainly could, and it would be really pretty to do some background quilting around these birds in the pillow top itself. So I made the center was 14 inches, and then I have a 2-inch border all the way around so that my pillow top itself is 18 inches. Okay, so I've layered the batting, the pillow top itself right side up, and then I have made 2 pieces to go on the back of the quilt. Now, I told you there was an overlap. I make the overlap so that it's exactly the same width as your pillow top, and then the overlap here should be 3 to 4 inches depending on the size of your pillow. If you have a bigger pillow top, like mine is 18 inches, if you had 18 or 20, I made the overlap here 4 inches. So we've got one corner here, and I always pin these in place because when you get ready to sew this, you're going to have quite a few layers. And I just like to take some of these pins and put them from the inside out. I'm trying to line up my batting with my fingers underneath here so that it's all lined up. Okay, now before I turn this corner to go ahead and do the other, there's a little bit of marking that we need to do here. And this is what makes the difference between whether your pillow looks like it's homemade with pointy corners or whether it has that designer look, the decorator look to your pillow. And that is that the pillow form itself has all the stuffing in the middle and not very much in the corners. So what we're going to do is we're going to taper the corners of our pillow. And on this one, I'm going to mark it 3/4 of an inch from the corner. And then I'm going to go, if half of this was, it's 18 inches, so that's 9. Half of that distance would be 4.5, so I'm going to go ahead and measure 5 inches each direction for us to be able to taper. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my ruler in here, and I'm just going to draw a line from those 2 points, from the 5-inch mark back to my point in the corner, and then we'll do the same thing going the other direction. And so now I'm going to continue to pin, and it's really important that you make sure that you pull these nice and flat. Again, like I said, there are lots of layers going on here that you want to make sure that you do pin these, because otherwise your fabric is liable to move. So now I'm going to lay out the other half of the backing of the pillow, and again we'll pin these in place, making sure that you catch the edge of the one that's on the underneath too as you do that pinning. We'll continue to pin now all the way around. This is a really forgiving method too when you do the backing this way. Okay, make sure we get this caught right here really good. Okay, so now I'm going to take my ruler and my pencil, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to mark these other corners so that we have that all marked of where we need to taper. Okay, then we're going to go 5 inches this way and draw our line. And we're going to go 5 inches this way, make our mark, draw our line. Okay, I'm going to stand up and trim these. And I don't know if you're new to using a rotary cutter, the preferred way to use that rotary cutter is in a standing position where you can put your weight on it that you need to put your weight on it to make it cut. Or in the case of this time when it didn't cut. All right, and so we'll just trim away right on those lines that we drew on there, those tapered lines. And I know this makes it look really funny. You have to make the pillow top itself unsquare to make it look square when you get the filler in it. Okay, now that we have that part done, we're ready to sew the pillow top together. I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to use the guides that are right here on my sewing machine. There's one, it's one right here on the plate that goes for the bobbin, and there's also one at the back of the machine. You can see this is quite a few layers that we're sewing through here with the batting in there, 2 layers of the backing and 1 of the pillow top itself. And so you're just going to swish right around. You're going to swish right around when you get to the spot where we did that taper, so that this makes it one continuous seam. Okay, so now we have it stitched all the way around, and we just have a small amount of trimming to do. We want to take these corners and we want to trim off the bulk that will be right here in the corner. So I'm just going to, not quite down to where it crosses, the thread crosses, I'm just going to trim off each of these corners so that we just get rid of that bulk. Okay, all of the sewing is done, all of the trimming is done, and now all we're going to do is flip it right side out. And I always just take my finger and put it in the corner, just like that, so you can kind of push that corner out. And now you can just flip it over. Do that to all four corners. One more here. Oh, I have a pin. Now, if you end up with a funny thing that looks like this, you might look to see if you left a pin on the inside. I thought, surely I couldn't have caught that with the sewing machine. Here it is, one more pin. We'll get it right side up for you. All right, so now you can see that our corners do look like they're pretty tapered, don't they? But let me pick the filiform up, and you just take this and you squish it in the one side. I usually grab the corners and try to pull it up into the corners. Okay, so those two. Okay, there you go. And now do you see how it looks like we have square corners instead of pointy corners? We have batting in there from the pillow insert, and voila, there's our pillow. I hope that when you make some pillows out of some of our Feather and Song fabric, that you'll share them with us on myquiltplace.com. You know, that's the community for quilters. It's free to join, and you can post all kinds of pictures. I think we have something like more than 10,000 photographs of quilts on that site now. And to buy the Feather and Song fabric, all you have to do is go to shopaqs.com. And in addition to buy the yard fabric, we also have 10-inch squares, rolls of 2.5-inch strips, 5-inch squares, and fat quarter packs of this fabric. So until I see you next time, happy sewing.